Welcome to Podcrushed.
Woo!
Welcome to Pod. Well, that could have gone better. But here we are. Today, we are going to address something that we don't normally, which is coming of age.
You've been waiting with a bated breath.
Typically, we focus on death.
Actually.
All the dead people that visit us, they won't stop talking to us.
All of our dead moms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just can't get over how Nava is always saying, my dead mom.
Yeah.
I am so close to making crass jokes about her dead mom.
I know.
Just because we do talk about it in a certain way. And by the way, no, not like not. I don't think the ones that would offend you. It's just I think without the context on our show, it would seem heartless.
Yeah.
But because we also don't really think of her as dead.
Yeah.
Moving on. Today, yes, is about coming of age. What do we call that?
I've been thinking a lot about coming of age, and I think that it doesn't always. I mean, there is like a general coming of age that happens maybe in middle school, which is what the show focuses on. But in particular areas of your life, maybe you haven't even had your coming of age yet. Like I feel like I haven't had my coming of age in love yet. I feel like it's coming. And like I had a significant coming of age when my mom died.
Right,
when my dead mom died. It was a big coming of age. Like it really changed me in a lot of ways. So I think we have many coming of ages.
That's
in our
true.
life.
I actually feel like I have not really come of age as an artist. Seriously. Even calling myself an artist feels a bit silly. But
Really?
yeah.
You feel silly calling yourself an artist, but not an actor. You feel okay calling yourself an actor.
I mean, I'm not like screaming it from the rooftops.
Sophie's introducing a new insecurity.
You're okay calling yourself that?
I don't know that I've ever wanted to refer to myself as an actor, but it's like, well, it's clearly what I'm known for. It's what I do. And so I say I'm an actor. I mean, even the last time I called myself an actor was definitely, I was buying something. It was like $4 at this vintage
You're
shop.
like, I don't need to pay for this. I'm an actor.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't even carry cash because I'm an actor.
I'm going to act like I paid you.
I'm going to act like, that's, one of there were two guys at the cash register, and one of them was like actually speechless. So he was like, and the other one clearly had no idea or was doing a really good job of covering it. And he was like the sort of like long-haired grunge guy who was just, like playing it cool, whatever he thought was going on. And he looked at me and I had a question. So I'm just like asking like, do you have, I was buying playing cards. I was like, do you have playing cards?
Oh, for you and Domino.
Yes, that's right. Yes. If you're curious what we're referencing here, listen to our episode on Love. Yeah. This is a part of the Podcrushed series where the hosts talk to themselves because we don't want to have any guests on. They're too much trouble.
Yeah.
And we're answering your questions. Maybe not you, but someone who listens, who's like you. So I'm trying to buy these cards, and it should be just a kind of a simple thing. And the one guy can't speak. The other is just looking at me like, why don't I speak? And I'm not speaking because I'm looking at the guy who can't speak and just wondering like, is he going to say something? And then anyway, I just kind of move on. I look at the guy who seems to not know who I am, and he's looking at me like I'm weird. And I just roll my eyes and I go, it's because I'm an actor. I'm, like that. And then I realized later as I was trying to find the cards they directed me to, I was like, did he think that I typically introduce myself as an actor? Did I say that in a way that sounded arrogant? Because I definitely didn't feel arrogant. That kind of thing. It's why am I telling this story?
You were saying you don't like to call yourself an artist, and
you haven't had your coming of age.
And you asked me about being.
You are such an artist. You're a writer. You're an actor. You're a musician.
You're a TikTok star.
You're a TikTok star. You're really good at drawing. You're actually like
you're such an artist. It's true.
Sure, yeah.
I think this is more insecurity. I'm like, well, if Penn can't call himself an artist, what am I?
Sophie's changing her bio right now.
Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't feel to me. Yeah, I don't know. I won't. I won't explore my insecurities any further here. Not this one. We'll go into some others. Welcome to Podcrushed. We're your hosts. I'm Penn.
I'm Sophie.
And I'm Nava. And I think we would have been your middle school besties.
Running lines together for the middle school play. Ooh, no, you're in a drama? No, I didn't do that.
Do you have a moment that did feel like a coming of age in any area of your life? This is like I said, my mom's death, clear coming of age moment for me. Do you guys have any moments that stand out as that?
The one that comes to mind first is this moment when I must have been 5th grade, so 10 or 11. And I am mixed. I'm a quarter black. So it's like not enough to really feel very comfortable claiming it, but enough that when people meet me, there's like a definite confusion. Like, something's going on. Like I've been asked many times, like, where's your tan come from? Or, you know, like
my
things
grandfather.
like that. People are like confused. I remember when I was 10 years old, I was living in the Philippines and I went to one of my friend's birthday parties. And already it was like a group of girls who were very popular and I was like starting to be inducted into their group, but not quite. I was like always on the edge a little. All of them had a lot more money than my family did. And there was lots of reasons for me to feel like an outsider. And I went to this birthday party and the thing that we were doing was we were all going to the salon and getting our hair done. We had like a special room at the salon. All of us were supposed to get blowouts. And every girl, you know, has a stylist who's focused on them and they're getting pampered for the day. And I was the last one to be sort of like paired with the stylist. I remember she was touching my hair. You know, you get settled in the chair and they touch your hair, they talk to you, they figure out what you're going to do. And my voice is getting shaky even like thinking about it. But I remember she was touching my hair and my hair used to be a lot curlier. And it was also in the Philippines where it's very humid. So it was even more frizzy. And she kind of just had this like look of also confusion. Like, what am I going to do with this girl's hair? Everyone else at the party had like sleek, straight hair already. And she said, well, we can't blow your hair dry. It's just not going to work. And so while everybody else is getting their hair blow dried, she decided to give me cornrows with...
What?
Yeah, with these little clips. Like it wasn't even cool because she gave me these little like yellow plasticky clips at the end of each braid. And so not only was it like totally othering, but it was also... And like you're almost like you're broken. Like we can't work with you. We can't work with this hair, which of course they could have, you know.
Yeah.
But then also I felt like a little kid when all of my friends, like the point of this birthday party was like, okay, we're all becoming teenagers. We're doing this thing that we've seen like our older sisters or our moms or, you know, older women in our lives go to salons and get pampered.
Yeah.
And so on several levels, it was just like, something's wrong with me and I'm different than all of the girls here. And the thing that has been the most interesting for me is then also as an adult moving to the US, where there is like race is like so loaded and not really knowing like my place, you know, like having had this one experience, several experiences like that growing up. Like I remember in high school, I was smoking a cigarette.
Whoa,
Sorry, Mom and Dad. And
big revelation.
I know. And this boy was trying to get me to stop. A friend of mine was trying to get me to stop. And he said, if you don't stop, your lungs are going to be as black as your face.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a Norwegian guy. I feel like that's important. That's an important, like the most, like the blondest, the whitest. And I've had several experiences like that. But then on the other hand, I have experiences in the U.S. on both sides, but more than ever in my life, experiences where I don't feel, if I ever try to claim that I'm a person of color, there are some people who feel like, okay, but not quite, like not enough, which I understand because my experience is absolutely not the experience of someone who is much darker or who's more than a quarter, who's half or who's full. So it's just been something that I've grappled with throughout my life. Yeah. It's like the discrepancy between like how you see yourself and how other people see you.
Well, that's
really significant.
The discrepancy between how you see yourself and how others see you is possibly the most, I don't know, is that not like the most difficult chasm to cross in life. Like that is such a significant one. And yeah, I mean, I really feel you there.
I don't want to dig too deep if it's uncomfortable, but have you, not conclusions because we're like always evolving, but how do you see yourself? Like if you weren't worried about the audience, like if you weren't thinking about the direct person in front of you, how would you describe yourself?
I would definitely describe myself as mixed. Yeah. I feel a connection to all parts of me. Yeah, I think mixed is just a good way to describe myself, but like racially, but also like having grown up in so many different countries. Yeah. I feel like the term just like fits for me on so many levels. Because I'm not claiming anything beyond that I'm mixed. I'm not claiming like you should treat me differently because I'm mixed, or my experience is harder because I'm mixed. Definitely not. Or anything besides that is a fact that I am mixed, and it has informed my experiences.
Thank you for sharing that, Sophie.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Something I think about more and more is how we talk about race, because in some ways, if we're not careful, we reinforce the notion that race is not socially constructed, but that it really is this sort of inborn quality. I feel like we still sort of think of racism as being prejudiced against other races, rather than having notions of race, socially constructed ideas about what it means, and then judging people based on that. I think in some ways we reinforce all these really harmful and hurtful ideas that are essentially invisible and non-existent. When we even don't interrogate the ways that we're thinking about it and talk about it. That's all I've got on that. We have somebody who asked us, what is the difference between identity and personality? Well, you've come to the right place. We are 3 experts.
Yeah. I think that I used to more closely associate personality with identity. Like someone's whole identity is what they look like physically and their personality. And I think I'm coming to realize that, well, one, I think our identity changes over time. Like heaven forbid you would be the same person your whole life. It's impossible. But we evolve, and I think we can all be like humble before ourselves and who we think we are, like that we're malleable and we're changing. But for personality, when I was growing up, probably because I was like really insecure about my looks, I was like pretty funny. Like I really tried to be funny. I was part of like a joke club. It was just me and one other girl and then like a bunch of guys. I hung out with all the funniest guys in the class. Like I was funnier than I am now for sure. But I like invested in comedy. I would read funny things. It was like a big part of my identity was to be like funny and like happy and like playful. And when I went to college, I think I went through a depression, is now looking back like probably what happened. But I became a lot more serious. Like by my final year of university, I was much more serious. And I remember people who knew me in Puerto Rico in high school just be like, "Why are you so serious?" Like it was just like a big shift in my personality. And then it comes and goes. And then when my mom died was another period where like I think I was pretty serious for a long time and like pretty sad. And now I'm kind of in a lighter phase and like I think a little bit funnier again.
Doing a lot of podcasting, just sort of
doing a lot of podcasting. But just like this like personality trait that I really identified with and was very important to me has like ebbed and flowed throughout my life. Like it's not I think I'm hopefully a funny person, like it's always there to some degree, but like the joy around it, the exuberance, the degree to which it comes forward like shifts. And for sure I have become a more serious person. I was like so silly growing up, like could not keep a straight face, always breaking out into laughter. Like I've become a much more serious person. But yeah, so it's like, oh, I guess that part of my personality will change, like according to the circumstances. But then I feel like your character maybe is more of like who you are. Like, I've always struggled with like being patient, but I've always been pretty good at other things, and that's consistent. Like I try to be more patient, but like I just do have certain shortcomings that are present and certain strengths that have always been present. So that feels a little more permanent to me, but I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I think to test your patience, God sent you me. I was thinking about the word character. I was like, I think that's the difference. I've been learning, for me, I don't think I can tell any stories around it yet because I'm processing it. But, realizing how much of my personality is a response, is like a coping or a defense mechanism just in response to, any number of things. They could be innocuous or they could be really grievous, whatever it is. It's like without the need to respond or sort of interact with like culture and other people and stuff. That to me is personality. Personality is very, can we get through an episode without talking about the eternal life of the soul? I don't know. Personality.
I feel like all I want to do is talk about attributes of God, but
right. Well, can we at least say the soul? We can't say God in every episode. We're going to alienate our viewers.
I know.
Can we talk about aliens though? That might get us more. Let's talk about aliens. Personality does not transcend death, at all, as I understand it, and we think of a lot. I think we live in a culture where we identify very strongly with parts of our personality. Mm-hmm. But to me, we in order to get past this stage that humanity's in, just grow up. I'm 37. I'm trying to grow up and be always a better and more engaged and more stable member of my family. Trying to understand what is my identity? What level of my identity? For what it's worth, never really feel like I knew what it means to be a man. I definitely did not. That did not feel like something I was excited about or felt like I understood. It always just felt like an emasculating prospect to suggest that I am going to become one and therefore I should know one and be one, and I think I only know it at this point in relationship to being a father and a husband. And, maybe not everybody would agree that that's what makes a man, but I know that for me, that's the only meaningful flags I have to be like, well, I guess I'm learning about it there. I definitely am, or in those places.
I saw this thing about how babies, the thing that they need is to be loved so that they know they're secure and they are going to be safe. And ideally, a baby just has to be in order to receive those things. But in a lot of cases, they either have to succeed or to fail. And if a parent is requiring their baby to succeed in order to show them love, it looks like, they have to be easy and smiley or they have to be good at, as they grow older, they have to be good at things and then to fail is actually if a parent needs their children to be worse than them so that they feel better about themselves. But if a parent needs their child to succeed, it usually comes from a place of wherever that parent failed, they're looking for their child to succeed, to be able to kind of fix them. And I've been thinking about this a lot because that's something I noticed I do already. My baby's only 4 months old. And already I think I'm doing things that will form her personality as a response to me.
Come on.
I noticed that when we're out in public with people, I want her to, people want her to smile and be happy.
Oh,
and she can be kind of cautious and she's just staring at people. And I notice myself, the people pleaser in me wants her to please other people. And then I have this, pretty quickly, I have this thought of that's insane. That's poor child that she has to succeed in this area so that I feel better, so that other people think I'm a good parent or I have an easy baby or I've done something to create this good, easy, happy baby. But I'm sure that will have an impact on her personality. That even the little, hopefully I've picked up on it quickly enough that it's not going to be too much of a big deal. But for sure, I must have become a people pleaser because of something like that, and
take it to your mom.
Yeah. Mom?
Well, actually, while we're on this topic, one of the questions we got is how do you find yourself and maintain who you are in parenthood?
Well, what you were just talking about, Sophie, I mean, first of all, talk to me in 3 years and it only gets more dramatic and intense. I mean, it really is so feel you there. You start to see parts of yourself. You're like, damn, whoa, that just jumped out. So, but I think what you're talking about though, like that's increased awareness, that's progress, that's generational evolution. That's what, you can't change who you are, you know? None of us can change who we are. And I think whether you encounter it in parenthood or just anywhere, I think, you know, there are other ways to encounter it. The way I'm encountering it, I think the most that I've experienced is in parenthood. And it's like, you cannot change who you are. You cannot change who your children are, nor do you make who they are, but you can help them to mine their inner selves for their gems, their not their personality, but their character. And I don't know neatly how to describe that, how that looks, but the best you can do is just recognize the things you're talking about and like not criticize yourself too harshly, because that will help you not criticize your child later too harshly, because they will start, I mean, right now, my toddler is starting to act out in a way he has never acted out before. Like he's actually, something that's always been super easy is that he's just really been, for the most part, pretty easy. Like there's certain things, I mean, you know, dinner time and bedtime is always that's always a toss up depending on your environment, but been really easy. Now he's starting to like, he's like really strong. He has this, like, he doesn't go to school fully, but he has this program, like, you know, teacher type person. And she said the other day, like, yeah, he's very strong-willed. And she said it in the gentlest way. But he is. So, like, he does this thing where he kind of holds his hands like this. He's like, no. You see? No. And it's like, he has these adult mannerisms that he's just trying on. And I know that they're basically mine. And it's hard out here.
What about you, Sophie? What are you learning about maintaining yourself in motherhood?
It's funny. I knew that this question was going to come up because I looked at the questions beforehand, and I had to ask David on the way. I was like, how have I?
What is that?
Is that an answer?
David, what's my identity now?
Wait, but
Is that an answer in itself?
How to find yourself and maintain who you are in parenthood.
His response right away was creativity. Like, still working on artistic projects has been huge. And it's like it's an outlet. It feels connected to motherhood. And so it's not something that I have to like go so far to do. It's just a new experience in life and just using it like I would any other new experience to form new thoughts and connections and yeah.
Stick around. We'll be right back. I started taking Symbiotica because I was having some trouble sleeping and I was really having a lot of trouble with energy lags. And when Symbiotica decided to sponsor the show and send us some samples, I became addicted. Literally, I have literally written them and been like, please send us as much as you can. I personally really love the vitamin C. The citrus vanilla flavor is so good, I add it to my green juice every morning. And the magnesium L-threonate, the vanilla cream. I add this to my coffee every day. I have a magnesium spray that I use on the days that I'm not doing it with my coffee. The reason that I can't stop taking them is because I've seen such a big boost in energy. I'm not a morning person, maybe shocking to some of you. And that little extra burst that just helps me like get through the door, get to playing with the dogs, like get to my day, has just been so wonderful, and it lasts beyond the morning. So I don't see a day where I would stop taking this. They are formulated with the highest quality ingredients out there. Symbiotica is transparent about how and where they source ingredients to ensure you get the best products possible. Their formulas don't have any seed oils, preservatives, toxins, artificial additives, or so-called natural flavors. Symbiotica is so transparent about where and how they source the materials so that you can feel good. You've done your research, you know what you're getting. To feel more energized, alert, and balanced with high quality supplements that work, head over to symbiotica.com/podcrushed and use code podcrushed for 20% off plus free shipping on your subscription order.
When people want to relax, I think maybe some of them might go online shopping, right? That's pretty common. Maybe you look at homes that you're not going to buy. My wife definitely fits into that category along with many of our dear friends. Might I suggest a change? Try taking a scroll through Viator. I have to say it's really engaging. You can fantasize about travel, and maybe you could just book one. Viator is the perfect tool to ensure you plan and experience the best trip possible. With Viator, You can easily explore and book over 300,000 travel experiences around the world. So whether you're into history or adventure or just looking for something unique, Viator has something for everyone. Whenever friends come to visit me in New York City, I know they feel a little overwhelmed by all the sights to see. I do too. And I mean, I rarely see any of those things myself living here. I'm never sure what to tell them. But Viator makes it very simple. And they even let you see other user reviews too. So like right now in New York, you can book an Ellis Island tour, an architectural yacht tour, or I like this one, a Greenwich Village food tour. As a New Yorker, I got to recommend that because the Village is where it's at if you want to have those most iconic city strolls. Also, they offer free cancellation to help you plan for the unexpected. Viator's 24/7 customer service is awesome too. Traveling can be full of surprises, and it's comforting to know that support is available anytime, day or night. Download the Viator app now to use code Viator10 for 10% off your first booking in the app. Find travel experiences for you. Do more with Viator.
I do have a question. Different people feel different ways about parenthood, so I'm not trying to comment on that. But we were actually talking about how portrayals of motherhood in the media currently often make it seem like a big slog, or it's this whole like you have to give up so much to have a child, which I'm sure mothers do give up a lot. But I was telling you that it was really refreshing to like see you and our friend Chelsea and now our friend Zandy be mothers who are like really embracing it and are happy. And actually my friend Zandy, her husband, is like the happiest I've ever seen him. And I mentioned that. He's like, I'm the happiest I've ever been. Like having this baby has changed my life. And I was thinking about there's an aspect of parenthood that could also help you become more of who you are or a new part of who you are. But I feel like the way we portray it is like you give up something to do this other thing. And I'm wondering how you guys feel about that.
I think it's both. I mean, I really do feel like it's both. Also, not to like the first year is, I remember feeling just undoubtedly like, oh, lighter, better, great, you know? And I'm not even saying that then it gets harder. It's more like there are
but
a lot
he's 3 now and I want to kill him, so maybe.
Yeah, but I'm ready to give him up, basically. No, I mean...
Nava, do you want my baby since you're never going to have one?
Developmentally, it is definitely a very difficult stage. But I think like I'm actually still better than I've ever been.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm having some external pressures that are, you know, they are what they are. And not everybody's going to go through the same moment that I'm currently having. But it should only get lighter and better. And I think as long as you're maintaining as long as you do see the joy in it, it does. Even when the hard things get definitely harder.
Yeah. Just the last thing I'll say is Chelsea, who is business partner with Penn and Nava, and a good friend of mine, she had children before I did. And I remember her and her husband invited David and I over for brunch when I was pregnant. And I was telling them, like, you know, you've really been an inspiration because you guys are so positive. You seem so happy in parenthood. And they were telling me, like, yeah, it's not that things aren't hard. Like, there are definitely a lot of challenges, but they had decided together to be as positive as they could because your language creates your reality, shapes your reality. And so the things that you're focusing on are the things that get amplified. And there's both camps. Like people feel like motherhood is portrayed too negatively. There's some people who feel like we don't show the difficulties of motherhood or parenthood enough.
Yeah, right.
But I think there's an argument to be made for just like focusing on the lightness of it and the beauty of it because that shapes your reality. And those are the things you'll remember really at the end of the day.
Penn, when do you feel the most you, even as a kid?
Honestly, I feel the most me when I was 12. Like I think of like the music I listened to, coming to LA, confronting that strange place. Years later, I would definitely not feel the most me. I definitely like late teens, early 20s, definitely super far from the most me, definitely. And I'm just now getting back to it like in my 30s. 12. Like just it. And what exemplifies that? Well, you know, what I'm now oddly known for is dancing in a certain way. What were you going to say? Killing people?
Yeah, he's like killing.
Yeah.
Murder.
Fake killing, real dancing, at least as it relates to this podcast. And I was dancing a lot then. I was dancing. I was pursuing it. You know, I was taking classes, and I loved it. I unabashedly loved it, and that was just a part of my life. And maybe when I gave up dance is when I had to put the mask on.
Oh, Sophie, when do you feel the most you?
I think it's always in like playful situations. Recently, you know, I'll do whatever I can to keep my baby entertained. And sometimes that's like putting on really loud music and just like dancing in front of her, and she's like captivated. She's just staring. And it's so fun to just like be totally like in my body, not on a screen, not like thinking about anything else. It's just like playful, and she has no judgments of me.
Yeah.
It's like brings so much joy. I feel very much like myself. When I was a kid, I remember there was this one day where me and my friend, Bokyang, it was raining. We lived in the same apartment complex, and it was like pouring rain, but like tropical rain. So it was like warm still. And we went out and just like ran. There was like a grassy field, and we just like ran, and our feet were like squidging in like the muddy grass. And I feel like that captures it for me.
Squidging captures the whole thing for me.
I think I feel the most me when I'm with the right people. Like with my dad, I just love spending time with my dad, and my dad and I have such a funny, like playful vibe. We just have like so much fun together, and it's easy. It's an easy relationship. But also with like the right friends, like, yeah, friends where you just feel like you can be fully yourself. And I think I do feel that way with you, Penn. I think that's why I cry around you all the time. When I am good friends with a man that I trust, I'm just crying in front of him all the time. I don't know what it is. It's you, it's Ashkan, it's like two other people. Penn, I probably cry with you, like 3 times a week? Probably. That's probably accurate. Anyway,
when we're having to do a lot of calls, that might be accurate.
Yeah. We have lots of calls when I start crying. But I remember I have had so many good friends in childhood, but I think a lot of my childhood was feeling like I really struggled with my identity, like growing up in Puerto Rico, being American and Persian, being a different religion, speaking primarily, I did speak Spanish, but like English was my comfort language. So a lot of my childhood and teenage years were like me feeling out of place.
Did you speak Spanish in a way that anybody, like would anybody speaking to you when you're growing up in Puerto Rico, would they know like, oh, are you?
No, I had a good accent, but I never knew the idioms. So people would, because we didn't use them at home. So people would share idioms like, you know, early bird catches the worm or whatever, Spanish equivalent. Right. I never knew them. So I was always like lost in the conversation. And in Puerto Rico, they use a lot of idioms.
Interesting.
So it like came up frequently that I was like, I don't know what this means. And I would feel embarrassed.
Like, but we are not birds.
But I do remember the first friend that I really felt like a comfort with that I didn't feel until I met this friend was my friend Ariana, who I love. Hi, Ariana, if you're listening. I met her when I was 14, about to be 15. And I was just like the first person that I felt like I could be fully myself with. And I really liked the version of myself that I was with her. She was also very cool. So she brought out like a little bit of a cooler side to me and like introduced me to like cool music. And I loved that. So yeah, I felt the most me with that friend, with my dad, with Penn, with a few other people. What part of your identity is least important to you and most important to you?
When people talk about identity and the usual markers like race and gender, one of the hallmarks of social privilege, and I'm not calling it the sort of privilege that actually uplifts me in my heart and soul, but it's a social privilege, is that intellectually I did not think about identity a lot. I mean, as a boy growing up, so therefore, male and white and American, all these things meant nothing to me. I did not particularly treasure them. They did not they were not something that I really held on to. The only one that seemed to matter was like needing to act like a man, quote unquote. You know what I mean? So like that one has almost felt like I used to just not want it. I used to just like, it used to exhaust me sort of emotionally. I actually feel like it's not important to me. I don't easily feel emasculated. I think, I don't know.
Yeah.
It used to be very important to me when I didn't think that I So I think that my answer might be that, but that's, I don't even know. I just feel like sometimes the only part of my identity that I've chosen is my spiritual life, my religious identity as a Baha'i. And it's the only one that matters to me, like in that sense, that I can you clearly say it matters. The other stuff I think that would matter to me is more like personality. I enjoy humor, comedy. I like trying to be funny. Those are the only two things I can think of. Oh, you know what? Is like intelligence part of one of them?
Yeah, you could identify with your intelligence for sure.
I don't know that I identify with my intelligence. I think the older I get, the more I'm like, I'm not that smart. We got to lay that down.
Although earlier today you were upset when I didn't call you brilliant. So
that's what you interpreted. I just didn't think the other person was that brilliant. So that's all that was. But I get what you're saying. I used to, I used to really want to be an artist, and I think that's, I don't know. How about you?
The part of my identity that I wish were the least important to me is my body. It is absolutely not the least important to me, but I just wish that I could say that. Like, I don't, my body, it's going to change. It does. It changes. It fluctuates. But it's more important to me than it should be. But what is the least important to me? I'll have to think about it.
It's hard to name, right?
I'm not sure.
Really hard
it's hard to name. The most important to me, I agree, like my spiritual identity, but that aside, and this is one that I'm terrified of losing, and I've realized more and more that it is really important to me. I'm never going to make it through an episode without crying. No, I'm not going to cry. Is being a daughter. And I'm not a mother, but I always thought I would be. So I think something about like the way that love flows from parent to child is very important to me because I've already lost my mother. Yeah, I am going to cry. And my dad is 80. I live in fear of my father dying.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
a strong fear.
You state it like in this way that it's clearly on your mind and you make jokes about it, to your credit.
No, it's on my mind all the time. My poor father. The other day I was at my dad's house. We were like playing a game. We were laughing so hard. And I walked up to him and I cast a little spell on him. Like I took out my fingers as though it were a wand. And I did like a little crucifixion sign on his face. And I was like, you will never die. You will never die.
That's sweet.
And my dad started laughing. He's like, what's that from? And I was like, no, I'm casting a spell on you. And then he just like lost it. He was laughing so hard. But I was just like, if you see the light, turn the other way. I'd be like, Nava needs me more.
Oh, that's so funny.
But I really want to train him to be like, not want to die. Because I do think that you have a choice in it a little bit. I think part of us holding on, and that's, I'm sure, incredibly selfish, but I want my dad to hold on for as long as possible. And yeah, my fear is that my dad will die and I won't be part of my own family unit. And I've realized that part of my identity, like a member of a family unit, is so important to me.
Yeah. Well, it should be. I mean, honestly, it should be.
Yeah.
Look, that, for better or worse for me, that's something I'm learning how to value, Frankly, and I think this is, an aside that way, I struggle right now to think about these questions without the huge shifts and ramifications of what I'm going, I'm like, holy shit, it's really like personality, identity. I'm all just like, wow, I'm seeing it now unveiled in a way that I kind of never have. And I'm able to reflect on it and am interested in being vulnerable in friendly conversations, but it doesn't belong on a podcast. You know what I mean? Like it's...
Yeah. Listener, if you're wondering why we haven't let Sophie get a word in edgewise, Sophie is a mother and she is currently feeding her daughter. So we're going to carry on without her, but
she's just giving her
she'll
burgers.
rejoin when she can.
What metric did you use when you first decided you were an adult? You know what? When I decided to get married, that felt like a step. Also, probably most when I am parenting well. Like I know that it's going well and I am doing something that's maybe a bit difficult, that might be.
Yeah. I don't know either. I think
taxes.
Paying taxes, my gosh, what a thing. I think when I moved to China, I moved to China when I was 26. I started to feel like an adult. Certainly when my mom died, it ushered in like a new sort of adult period. But I think currently, I was thinking about this recently, until very recently, I also often didn't feel like an adult. Or I'd be like, I can't believe that I'm this age. Like, how is it possible? But more recently, I've been like, no, I kind of feel like I am this age and I have these experiences and like being more comfortable with it. And I think I feel the most adult when I apologize to someone, like when I take accountability for something that I did wrong. So the other day, someone called me out on something and I can be defensive but I just instantly apologize and it felt so good. And I was like really specific in the apology and I really heard the person and I really like reflected on it. I was like, oh, I think this is a sign of maturity to like not try to defend myself or try to like be skeptical about what he's saying, to just instantly be like, you're right. I did that. And that was really hurtful to you. And I shouldn't have done that.
That occurred to me. I was thinking of, I wasn't able to put it into that neat word apology, but I was thinking of that accountability, you know?
Sophie, what was a marker for you when you realized you were an adult?
Oh, getting off of my parents' phone plan.
Yeah.
For sure. And I remember being really salty about it because I have 2 older siblings and they didn't have to come off of it until I came off of it. It was kind of like, okay, Sophie's now out of college. She's getting married. Now everyone's off. And I was like, wait a second. They had several extra years of you paying for their phone bill.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, like you said, I mean, that still happens to me. I'm still learning how to take accountability quickly and effectively. But yeah, it's funny how it feels so good and yet so hard to do.
It can be so hard to do. Yeah.
Like all the good things.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Is there any part of your personality, character, self you haven't developed yet that you would like to be part of your identity?
Ooh.
I'll go first because mine is really easy. I would really love to be a wife and a mother. I hope that is a part of my identity that I can experience. But I do feel like I've come a long way, and also being like, if I don't achieve those things, like there are so many opportunities for joy and well-being, and like it doesn't all depend on that, but I would love to get to express that.
Love that. I was going to say, it's not that I think I'm not smart, but I think intellect. I think like I would love to read more.
Yeah.
And I would love for that to be more a part of my identity, my intellect.
You are very smart, just to say. I'm nodding my head, like agreeing that you have those feelings.
Yes,
but it would be so great if Sophie could just get a little bit smarter. No, you are very smart. But I do think, it feels good when you can like read, and when there are moments in life when we have those opportunities. That's nice. Yeah.
Mine is the opposite. It's being more fun. And I only recognized it because you said intellect, and I was like, you want to read more?
You're like, I got that. I've got intellect.
I need to read less. No, I actually don't. The truth is I don't get to read that much, but I want to. And no, yeah, fun. Fun is definitely the easy one to name.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We love you, Podcrushies.
Oh, I like that one. Have we not heard that?
I do like that.
Yeah, I think that's a new one.
It was so markedly different from when I said Podcrusher. What did I say? Podcrushers? You just actually gagged.
And Sophie would gag each time.
You just gave like you saw a puppy. You're like, Podcrushies.
Yeah, Podcrushies, Podcrushers. Okay, bye.
Who told us to start a podcast? Bye.